minority party has an outsized amount of power in the Senate. Beyond that, I mean, the Senate itself is, again, the Electoral College has traditionally been the voting process because it was designed to give power to land. The Electoral College, no, what the Electoral College does is it gives more votes to land than people. It means that someone who lives in the middle of bumfuck nowhere has their vote count more than somebody who lives in New York City. That's what the Electoral College does. No, spare. We don't have the Electoral College. The way Canadian elections work is we vote for our local members of parliament. And then whichever party has the most members of parliament, they have the majority, or at least a minority government in some cases, and their leader, the leader of the party with the most seats in parliament, their leader is the prime minister. No, Solar, I'm saying one vote, one person, one vote. That's what I'm saying. The Electoral College runs against the concept of one person, one vote. Because as far as the Electoral College is concerned, Solar, I think that if you want to be president of the country, you should get the majority of the fucking votes. If you want to actually lead the country, if you want to be the person in charge of the country, you should have the most votes. The person who gets the most votes be the winner. That's what I think.
We know.
Republicans win the popular vote. They always fucking lose the popular vote, and yet they get to be the fucking president? How the fuck does that make sense? That the Republicans can just straight up ignore New York City and LA, ignore the biggest cities in the country. Republicans can afford to just get away with not giving a single wet hot shit about the big cities. When Republicans get in office, New Yorkers no longer have a voice. Because at that point, Republicans don't care. They do not give a shit about the people in the cities. They don't care.
Calm down.
They couldn't care less about those people. They have no interest in listening to what New Yorkers have to say, despite the fact that New York City has a population more than multiple states. Ohio would have a voice. Ohio would have as much of a voice as everyone else. One person, one vote. One person, one vote.
He made that clear. Right? There you go.
That is not the way the Electoral College works. The Electoral College gives more weight to voters in Ohio than it does to voters in California. It does, Pooch. Yeah, California has more Electoral College votes, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, someone in Ohio has their vote count for more than someone in a city that has a larger population. There are cities that have larger populations than entire states, and their votes count, and the people in those cities have their votes count for less, because the Electoral College is about protecting land. The Electoral College places a larger emphasis on land than it does on actual people. If there's a situation where majority vote, if it was actually a one person, one vote system, if it was actually a system where the people who had the person who got the most votes won, those people would, then the people running for office would need to actually convince at least 50% of the population. No, Slice. I'm saying that the people in Wyoming would count as much as the people in New York. A person in Wyoming, their vote would count for the exact same as a person in New York. Because it would come down to whose policies are more popular. It would come down to who gets. Yeah, it would come down to people needing to actually compete for every vote. They absolutely are, Christina. I'm just saying that the person from bumfuck nowhere should not have a larger voice than the person from New York. At the end of the day, like, if you get rid of the Electoral College, then what happens is people running for president need to actually convince 50% of the population that they have the better plan. They would need to convince half the population that they have the better plan. It's actually a one person, one vote system. If it was actually a system where the people who had the person who got the most votes won, those people would, then the people running for office would need to actually convince at least 50% of the population. No, Slice. I'm saying that the people in Wyoming would count as much as the people in New York. A person in Wyoming, their vote would count for the exact same as a person in New York. Because it would come down to whose policies are more popular. It would come down to who gets. Yeah, it would come down to people needing to actually compete for every vote. They absolutely are, Christina. I'm just saying that the person from bumfuck nowhere should not have a larger voice than the person from New York. At the end of the day, like, if you get rid of the Electoral College, then what happens is people running for president need to actually convince 50% of the population that they have the better plan. They would need to convince half the population that they have the better plan. But they don't have to right now. As it is, Republicans don't actually need to convince actually need to convince 50% that they have the better plan. They don't need to give a shit about half the population. They just need to give a shit about the right votes. Not necessarily, Hank. If they can convince the majority of the population that, cutting some government program would be the right choice, then they win. But Republicans know they can't convince the population of that. Policies aren't popular. They know their policies are unpopular. That's why they rely on the Electoral College.
Really? You think so?
Because they don't actually give a shit what the majority thinks. They just want to get the right votes.
You know what? If it wasn't Peetz, I would go, and I would take all
And I
of the
think that it
total
is
population
absolute fucking horseshit.
and how many states, each
The-
one,
No,
Republican
Suler.
and
Again,
Democrat,
Suler.
and figure it
No,
out.
you are completely, absolutely 100% wrong about what I'm saying. What I am saying is that one person, one
vote.
fucking vote. One person, one
One
vote.
vote.
One
One
person,
person,
one
one
vote.
vote.
One person, one vote.
We got it there.
That's what I'm saying, Suler. One person, one fucking vote.
What about all these illegal aliens that was brought into the
If
states?
they don't, if the person who gets, if the people running for office, if somebody is running for office and they cannot convince half the population that their plan is the right plan, they do not deserve to be elected.
We hear you.
If they cannot convince half the population that they have the right plan, then why the fuck do they get to be in office?
Calm down.
Why the fuck does the person who has the worst plan get to be the one in office? How the fuck is that fair?
You're not
How the fuck does that
helping.
make sense? That the person who is less popular, the person that people like less, gets to be the fucking president. How does that make the least bit of fucking sense?
Really? I
It
hear
doesn't make sense.
a lot of bad
Because
talk
it's not about fucking democracy.
about
It is
Biden.
about fucking land. The Electoral College gives more weight to fucking land than it does to actual fucking people. That was why it was created. Because they don't fucking care about the actual voters.
Calm down. Easy, boy.
It is a bullshit strategy. No, Suler. No, you are completely, absolutely 100% wrong about what I'm saying. What I am saying is that one person, one fucking vote. One person, one vote. One person, one vote. One person, one vote. That's what I'm saying, Suler. One person, one fucking vote.
James, are you saying one person, one vote?
If they don't,
Wow.
if the people running for office, if somebody is running for office and they cannot convince half the population that their plan is the right plan, they do not deserve to be elected. If they cannot convince half the population that they have the right plan, then why the fuck do they get to be in office? Why the fuck does the person who has the worst plan get to be the one in office? How the fuck is that fair? How the fuck does that make sense? That the person who is less popular, the person that people like less, gets to be the fucking president. How does that make the least bit of fucking sense? It doesn't make sense. Because it's not about fucking democracy. It is about fucking land. The Electoral College gives more weight to fucking land than it does to actual fucking people. That was why it was created. Because they don't fucking care about the actual voters.
Peetz. Do you think people like Biden more than they did Trump?
It is a bullshit strategy.
Wow. Okay. Are you done? Are you done yet?
Thank you, Lisa.
Oh.
You understand? But, like, you're a fucking idiot, Sewell. What I'm saying is that if somebody, get rid of the Electoral College, and if somebody wants to get elected, they need to convince a majority of the population. That's what I'm saying. They need to get 50% of the vote. That means that someone in Wyoming has exactly the same voting weight as someone from LA. complete and totally equal weight of votes, it would be the exact same voting weight. Someone in the middle of buttfuck Nebraska would have exactly as much voting weight as someone in Chicago.
That seems a little bit racist.
Exactly the same way. If somebody can't win 50% of the vote, they don't deserve to be in office. If they can't win the majority, they do not deserve to be the leader. Holy shit, Suler. Like, you're just completely fucking ignoring what I'm saying, Suler. Like, you just you're not fucking listening. I'm actually done with you, Suler. You're completely fucking ignoring what I'm saying. So, fuck you. I'm fucking done talking to you about this shit. Tell me why abortion is a human right? Okay, Jose. Did you know that it's actually illegal to force someone to donate organs? You cannot legally force someone to donate an organ. That is considered a human right. Like, the human right, that is a human right. You cannot, even when they're dead, you cannot force someone to donate an organ. I just said it, so it's okay. Human rights say that you cannot force someone to donate an organ even after they're dead. Because you consented, PK. You consented to donate your organs. You cannot forcibly take someone's organs out. That is illegal. That is a violation of human rights. Because bodily autonomy is a human right. Requiring someone to go through a pregnancy is requiring them to donate their organ. The baby isn't. The baby's not an organ. The womb is. A womb is an organ. Yeah, and that's illegal, yes, sir. No. A fetus is a clump of cells. But no, a womb is an organ. A womb is an organ. Sure thing, Dandy. A womb is an organ. Forcing someone to carry a fetus within them, to carry out a pregnancy, is forcing them to donate their organ. Once you...
What?
Right, but you're still forcing them to donate their organ. You are still dictating to that person. It is still dictating to that person how they can use that organ.
A fetus is not an organ, is it? I'm pretty sure, and I don't want to get nobody upset, that in the Bible it says abortion is not right. You know, if you don't want...
So as soon as you tell a woman no,
a baby
you
don't
have
have
to carry
one.
that pregnancy.
Don't get pregnant.
You are at that point giving that
takes
woman
care of it.
less bodily autonomy than an actual fucking corpse. You cannot dictate to someone how they use their organs. You can't do that. Human rights say you cannot dictate to another person how they use their organs. You can't do that.
You read a lot of
When you
comic books.
force
Do you
a
read
woman
the Bible?
To be pregnant, you are dictating to that woman to that person, because they're a non-binary and transmasc, when you require a person, when you force a person to carry out a pregnancy, you are dictating how they can use their organs. It is a violation of their bodily autonomy, which is a violation of their human rights.
And what about taking a living life? Explain that part.
Only if they outright piss me off, Grant.
We don't want to piss you off, James. Everybody's entitled to their opinions. But if I'm right, we all got to answer for what we've done in our lifetime to one judge.
Birth control isn't 100% effective. And
having sex,
beyond that,
not having sex is.
Matter. It doesn't actually matter how the pregnancy occurs. It doesn't matter if, if there's a 1 in a million accident. It doesn't matter if the woman was being, doesn't matter if the person was being reckless. It actually doesn't matter how the pregnancy comes into effect. It makes no difference.
Does it not? Are you God?
Yes, my mom had that right. My mom had the right, if she had chosen, to get an abortion. If she had chosen, she could have done. Birth control isn't 100% effective. Even if you use the pill and a condom, it's not 100% effective. And Solstice, if you make that comment one more time, I'm going to block you. Yep. Yeah, I'm just going to block you, you fucking spamming piece of shit. Christ, you fucking spammer. Yeah, women get pregnant on birth control. It happens. Because nothing's 100% effective. It would have been, if she'd made that choice, I wouldn't have been able to have a problem with it because I wouldn't have existed. So,
you wouldn't have cared, right?
The vaccine? Well, as far as the vaccine goes, getting it is something that you do to protect other people. Yeah, that wasn't going to happen, Ashley. Yeah, pretty much, Lucy. If you don't want to get the vaccine, fine. Then just stay the fuck out of public. But the point stands. At this point in time, people with wombs have less bodily autonomy than a corpse. That's what the Supreme Court decided. That a person with a womb has less bodily autonomy than an actual fucking corpse. Because a person with a womb, it is now legal to dictate to that person how that organ gets used. Less Snagglepuss. Matter. Even in the case where where an organ would save somebody's life, you cannot take an organ from a dead person who did not previously consent to that organ donation, even if it would save a life. It doesn't matter. Of course, some people regret it. Of course, there are some people who regret abortions. There are people who regret pretty much everything. But you don't ban that shit just because of a few people. Yeah. I'm doubtful that Trump will ever go to prison.
Okay, I will see y'all on the next one. Love you, treasures, and remember you're all beautiful.